it is 1700 in Central Europe. I believe this is 1600 in Ireland.
Yes.
And we've got Declan Flood here, our guest. And as I said, despite the general image of our profession, which is normally, let me be politically correct, which is normally serious, but Declan is one of the most positive people I've seen in my life. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Declan Flood, a credit coach, and me, Andrei Sichka, creditologist. When people ask me to explain what does that mean, creditologist, I said, one day I found that I got too many designatory letters after my name, and I decided to put everything in one word. So I express myself in one word. I am creditologist, and then I can give an explanation. Declan, knowing you for so many years, unfortunately, we didn't spend that much time, speaking together. But I ask all of my co-speakers to represent themselves in the short version, because that's actually the way I believe people can express and show themselves who they feel they are. So, who do you feel you are?
Who do I feel I am? Very good question, and thank you very much, Andrea. I appreciate it. And good afternoon, everybody. You're all very welcome. I am, I suppose, I haven't got it down to one word yet, so leave that challenge with me for the moment. Mm-hmm. I see myself as a lifelong credit professional, and again, appreciate your comments in terms of being positive, upbeat, and all that kind of thing. At the heart of all that, though, I do see credit as a very serious function. So I don't want anybody to think that we mask the function with positivity and all this kind of, the world, everything is wonderful in the world. The credit management to me is where the rubber hits the road. I've spent my whole life working in credit, starting in a credit department, becoming a credit controller, then credit manager for a number of very large international groups, where I had staff of up to 50 people. And then around 20 years ago, I set up my company, which is Irish Credit Management Training. I believed back then that people needed, there was a lot of fundamental areas that people needed to bring. And I suppose what I'd love to do is bring credit in as a profession, as a business function. And I suppose my dream is to see a director of credit in the company who is sitting somewhere between the finance director and the sales director. And the credit director is the person who is the oil on the wheels, making sure that everything is running smoothly, that we have a commercial sense in terms of, look, it's all about doing business. What I think separates good credit people, and we're talking about, credit managers and all that kind of thing. I think what really separates a good credit manager is their handle on the margin, on the profit margin. And I see the credit manager's role is in managing the margin to make sure that the sales that are made are converted to profit. That's what it's all about. And and any time, and in all the associations and institutes I've been part of, I find there's a passion among credit people. They love credit, they get it. And what saddens me is that people outside credit don't. They see credit people as the debt collectors, as the back office staff. And really, I want to drag that image up and say, no, that's not where credit should be. Credit needs to be at the front and center of every business. We are the people who care about the business. We care about the margins. We care about our customers. We care about getting things right. We care about the controls, we care about fraud, we care about sales. Like we are the caring heart of the business. And if we take more ownership for what happens, we have less queries, less disputes, less customer churn, smoother entry as new customers, you know, and all the other benefits as well that good credit management can bring to a business. And so I'm passionate about credit management and about spreading the word and hopefully inspiring credit professionals out there, not just to be debt collectors, not just to say, oh, here's my ledger, what's my DSOs? Yeah, okay, DSOs are important. We have to collect the money. That's why we're there. Um, there is a right way to collect it, there's a wrong way to collect it. And I suppose just spreading best practice in credit management and getting people up to speed, understanding the role, building that passion, and being a positive asset to the companies that we work for.
Wow. I got two comments about that. I got already this, we had we had a quite nice discussion with Michael Dennis, and he's keeping notes, and he's giving. I got a couple of comments, but what actually surprised me, with all the years I know you, is that first of all, what you say, passion and care, sounds to be kind of true love about credit management, because when you face true love with somebody who has passion about other person and tries his or her best to take care of other person, which means true love. And to reconfirm what you say is, when I was given once I was given a characteristic to one of my subordinates, and I had to say something why I choose this person as my successor. So, and I was asked by many, senior people, why do you choose this guy? Because he has exceptional what? I said, he has exceptional care. He's exceptional in caring of a credit portfolio.
Yeah.
So he cares about everything. And just finalizing that, just to say that, with all this passion, with all this care, I've seen many examples, and I've been an example of that. For my short time in credit management, only 25 years, I just found that there is an intimate connection between a credit manager and his or her credit portfolio. So
Absolutely.
that's what I've found.
Yeah, and I think, and certainly my advice to people who are just in credit control because it's a job and it pays the bills. My advice to those kind of people is just get out as quick as you can. If you haven't that spark, that life, that passion for it, it can be the worst job in the world.
Absolutely.
If you love solving problems, if you love, dealing with real life issues, and one of the lines I heard I loved, it was simply that the credit management is not rocket science. It's much more complicated than that.
Absolutely.
So rocket science will follow the laws of physics, whereas in credit management, because you have customers and you have people and you have money and you have all sorts of other things in the mix, there's no logical flow. Everything can go anywhere. So to get in control of that and to manage everything, it's a huge challenge. And I wish and I hope there's some finance directors or managing directors on board or listening to this today, and I want them to get a sense of, number one, the importance of the role of credit and the credit person that's doing it, and for the credit people out there, maybe just to look a bit beyond their desks to see how can they add value to the business. And look, it is all about caring, and you're talking about true love. Now that's given me food for thought now to take away, because
Maybe this is poetic part of of myself.
So it's a two-way
And
process.
but we've got, ladies and gentlemen, please, we will start our discussion today. So, after all the introductions, please don't hesitate to type your questions in chat. That's why we got this program called Credit Chats. Please type your questions, if any of them. We will try to answer them, me and Declan, together. After each section, we will have 3 sections today, or in the end of today's event, we will have a Q&A session where you could and should ask your questions, which we both, I'm pretty sure Declan loves questions as much as I do. We both will be answering them. We will do our best to answer questions. And to refresh, as promised, we did a poll before today's event. I started one for the purpose, and we got like more or less 600 answers. So let me share one with you. I just started because I wanted to know whether success, maybe I believe everybody says, what makes credit manager able to successfully face challenges? And I put education. Education means knowledge, experience, motivation, and then your opinion, where people actually gave lots of advices about the personality. But the surprising point to me, Declan, is that there is so huge disbalance between knowledge and experience, 75% to 1%. And the majority of people believe that experience is most important. I believe we should not disregard any of the two, but maybe you can express your opinion about these results.
Well, I am horrified, even if I'm not a bit surprised. And look, as far as I am concerned, experience is important, and I can see why people say experience is important. There was one question I was asked by my boss a number of years ago when we were interviewing for a credit control position, and I turned to him and I said, in the person's defense, I said, well, they have 10 years experience. And he turned to me and he asked the question, he said, do they have 10 years experience, or do they have 1 year's experience 10 times? I thought that was a great question.
That's the interesting point. And
So experience is it's good if you learn and grow and develop from the experience. But some people are just on that sort of annual treadmill, and certainly in a business, and that's why I suppose credit managers tend to spend a long time with the companies, because by the time you get to know the business, the companies, the processes, the customers, the pricing structures, the distribution mechanisms, the paperwork, the controls, and all, it takes time to get your head all around it. So certainly experience is important. The figure that horrifies me in that research, and look, it is the research, and I accept it.
I mean, I didn't create one. I didn't create this picture myself. These are the answers of people. You can
no. But the fact that only 1% of the people out there see education as it is. Look, well, in one sense, maybe I'm biased because my whole life is providing education in credit management, and
Yes.
what we do here in Ireland is, our diploma and advanced diploma in credit management. So education is close to my heart. Now, obviously, it was a career I chose, so it was close to my heart before I went into this road. So, in terms of education, I see education as an important part. Now, not just general education or just to have a degree in philosophy or something. What I suppose all education helps to build a person, specifically education in credit, because there is so many facets to credit. There's so many things to learn. There is, even though every company has its own way of doing things, there is a right way and a wrong way. There's a way to communicate. There's a way to control things. Without, and credit management is about finding the line between, like, if you're too hard, then you'll turn customers away and you'll lose sales.
Right.
If you're too soft, then you will lose money. And credit management is always about just finding the correct line through navigating through business to do all the business you can, to release all the orders you can, to make all the sales you can, and then get paid for it in full and on time. So, while, I'm shocked, but again, as I said, not surprised, because certainly in Ireland, we've been running the diploma now for the last 20 years. We have quite a number of students who have been through it and have benefited from it. Is it the most important part of their job? Maybe not. I think when you add the education to their experience, when you know what to look for, in terms of knowledge itself, I'm not a huge fan of knowledge, I've made this point on numerous occasions before, where somebody said that knowledge is power, and I firmly disagree with that. Even though it is a widely accepted adage, in my belief, it's the application of knowledge is where the power comes from. So you can have all the knowledge in the world, and if you don't do anything with it, then it's no good to you or anybody else. So when I am talking about education here and the importance of education, certainly in the programs I've developed over the last couple of years, there is a number of aspects. One is the knowledge. Two is the understanding. So it's not just facts, it's understanding. And then three is the practical application of it. So putting what you've learned to work in the office. And even if it's only communication techniques, even if it's billing structures, even if it's compliance, even whatever it is, you have to know it, you have to understand it, and then you have to do it.
Well, I will try to attack this point from other direction.
Okay.
Just following what you said, 10 times 1 year or one time 10 years. There is a huge difference to that.
Yes.
And my understanding, because I had a chance to really rethink my experience in credit, to make conclusions what was right, what was wrong. So simply experience, like, seems scrums on the face, they don't teach.
Mm.
No, when the person, or when the young child goes to the electric socket and got this bump, from the electricity. It's not electricity who taught that child. It's that thinking that when you go there and you do this. So it's thinking. And thinking is standing exactly in the middle of knowledge and experience. So you take knowledge, you try this knowledge and practice, and then you got, I don't believe this is experience, or experience of of applying of knowledge into practice and getting results. Because I've seen so many examples where people try to have an experience, like uh, a company they were working for was a market leader, and company was able to push on customers, able to dictate credit terms.
Right.
And then the person who used to be, let's say, who worked in finance in such a company, came to another company, bringing his knowledge and experience in order to help another company, but that new company had to compete. And credit policy had to be much more softer, much more, let's say, flexible. And the guys started to dictate because no, the real policy is supposed to be strong and conservative one. This way we will get paid. And then they started to lose customers.
Yeah.
10 years of experience. But that's the thing. So only experience or only knowledge. This will be second question of our discussion today. But and with this balance, towards the experience, I always ask whether all these 74% of people get results, what they attain or what they deliver, having only experience. So have they created the credit management from scratch themselves? Or maybe they've heard something. Maybe they've learned something. Maybe they read something before. Or just like imagine the person who has zero knowledge about credit, able to deliver results.
Yeah, but you see, in my view, and that's probably why I always loved credit. Credit is all about results. At the end of the day, that
Yeah,
is what credit is about. And I suppose part of credit managers, I suppose, without education, the only benchmark that they have is past performance. So how do we compare to last month? How do we compare to this month last year?
absolutely.
Whatever. And I had a hard discussion with somebody recently where they told me that they'd been doing the job for 40 years and weren't too amused when I asked them to consider that maybe they've been doing it wrong for the last 40 years. Um, and you can imagine how that went down. But anyway, it was my firm belief that, and the fact that they have experience that they've been doing it. Look, and I get your point about, in terms of absolutes. And certainly in all the education and training programs that we run here, there is no absolutes to say this is how you do it. What we do say is that, look, if you're in a market dominant position, this is how you
Ah,
frame the policy. If you're in a competitive market, this is where. If you're in a new market, this is how you do it. So we give you the framework. So there's no one absolute credit. Sorry to Len Bullivant, who wrote the most amazing credit management handbook. And I think even in his handbook, which I read some time ago, there are different scenarios and different
absolutely,
ways. And I think
absolutely,
that's how we have to, and this is where experience comes in. So it's not, this is the way we've always done it. And the world is changing at an alarming rate. And the way we communicate, the way we do business, it's changing. And we need to change with it. And that's where we need to bring our experience. So yes, there are fundamentals. And fundamentals are, for example, we should have a written credit policy. So that's, and to me that's a given. That should be a starting point. And yet, I don't know if we can do a poll here. How many of the people here would admit whether they do have a credit policy or not? Most people don't do that. Now, what that policy contains depends on the business, the stage in their lifestyle, their competitive advantage, what their goals are. Are they here to grow turnover, for market share, for profit? So lots of different businesses have different priorities. And depending on those priorities, depends on our approach to credit. So if I get a job in a company, the first job I have to do is to find out, well, what exactly is my mission here? How can I support the business in the real world and in terms of the overall business objectives? So, if we're a telecoms company that wants to get hold in a country, then credit vetting every customer is probably a very bad idea. Let's
absolutely.
get our market share first. Let's provide for the bad debts, because we know the first 10,000 customers are going to be people who didn't pay their bills to other people. So, certainly our bad debts are going to be high. Yes, of course, I need to manage it and minimize it. But maybe having a very liberal credit policy is the right thing for the company at that part of its evolution. So there's no, you know, 10 points, this is how you do it. And that's probably where the knowledge comes in as well, to know when to do things and when not to, when to push forward and when to pull back, when to give in and when never to give in. And for me, for example, there are areas, and on the collection of money itself, one of the things I was absolutely adamant about was bad debt write-offs. Um, I just see, and particularly large companies out there, I believe they write off money far too easily, far too quickly. And I would advise everybody who's listening here today, you leave no stone unturned. If that money is on the ledger, it has to be collected. And bar the company has gone into liquidation, and even then we can pursue the liquidator and people just walk away.
Absolutely.
So but it's back to passion and care. I care about the company who pays my wages. I want to get every possible penny in the door that I possibly can. And that's what motivates me. Yeah, so that's that. Anyway,
Keep
hopefully
on
that helps.
fighting to the end. You see,
Oh yeah.
here is an experienced, very experienced credit manager tool. Badler says, experience without education could be the blind leading the blind. And so
Thank you, Vladimir.
and can open the business external to challenges, in my opinion. It's not only your opinion, Atul. Thank you very much for this very nice sentence. And then experience can also be a downfall because you get stuck in a route if you keep your education fresh and up to date with the times and law, and you will be more valuable to the company. Yes, again, and you see, there is another comment. My experience has been key to my progress. Absolutely no. There is no choice. To me, there is no choice between simply knowledge and experience, and we just jumping in just jumping into our second question, because we already discussed how credit managers become themselves.
Yes.
I will share a bit of my experience, since you already mentioned in our previous credit. We had a series which is called Legends, and I invited Glenn Bullivant, and we had a chat about his career and everything, because to me this is quite sensitive, because I started my career after in real credit as a credit controller after 6 years of collecting cash for the bank, and that was quite interesting. That was, I think, most enjoyable professional part of my life, or most enjoyable part of my professional life, because I was working 7-11 mode from 7 to 11. Nobody pushed on me. I was so deeply in love with what I do. So, the office of the company was the most interesting place in the world for me. And actually, after 3 months, I believe, the finance director, caught me in the office 10 p.m. Sunday, said, get back home right now. So he refused me. So he sort of pushed me out of office. Thankfully, without kicking my ass, just because I need you tomorrow, thinking, and you are sitting here, and there's something. But what was interesting is that I had said, I think that was third edition from 1993. The only one translated into Russian. So I was, after 11 p.m., I was coming home, reading that book, then closing it, sleep. 7 a.m., I was already in the office, and I was trying and practice what I've read last night. And that was actual combination of knowledge and experience. So now I know what was written in English works in Ukraine.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
obviously, you need to think about how to adapt that. And to my understanding, first of all, there is no choice between knowledge and experience, because you need to learn things and you need to try that in your own experience with your own hands, because simply knowing means nothing. I know how to do that. Okay, let's try. Let's
Yeah.
try and see results, because you only got a skill when you know something, when you tried that and you managed to get results. And this, I mean, coming back to the point of experience, we have to, because here we need to apply thinking also, because this means that you manage to get result in that circumstances, in that company, on that market, and so on and so forth, with all of that circumstances. So you just applied knowledge, your experience, and got it. For other situations, for other market, for other company, all these constants in the equation of credit management would become variables. And to know where, all these components become variable, you need to have knowledge in general about credit. That's
Yeah, and certainly
so
it is a combination of both. But again, back to the 583 people who completed your survey, I would ask them just to have a look at the education front, and to accept that knowledge, education, learning new things is very important. And back to pick on something you said, Andre, earlier, and again, I'm sure a lot of people listening, maybe working long hours like you did in the past. That is a very short term thing. You can do it for a short term. You can do it when there's a crisis, when there's a year end, a system change or something. In the long term, working extended hours will only reduce your productivity. So
sure.
again, if you're a credit manager out there and you're under pressure and you're working long hours and you find yourself burning out, that's where I would say you need knowledge and you need information, because here's the thing: you are doing something wrong, and that's my view of it. And any credit manager who is under so much pressure and working very long hours and working weekends, now look, if it's a choice and they love it, or there's a purpose and it's short term, that's fine. That's life. We have to put up with it. If it's for an extended period of time, then I would suggest to them there is a better way, and maybe your life depends on finding it.
Well, thank you very much for mentioning that, because actually two learnings I had from that 7-Eleven mode is that actually two conclusions. When I became a credit manager, so I had my own subordinates, first thing I started to do, I was pushing them out of office 6 p.m. I was, in very dictator style. I was saying, "What the hell are you doing?" You know, 6.5. What the hell are
Yeah,
you doing in the office? No, I need you fresh tomorrow. I know you like your job. I do appreciate that, but I want you to have other things. To do things. And so, if you would like to stay here, you need to give me explanation. Not like give an explanation why you left. Just give me an explanation why you stay here in the 6 p.m. And second thing, which was to me even more important, is that I was saying, I had quite clear criteria to people to allow or not allow them to stay in the office after 6 p.m. If you do routine tasks after 6 p.m., this is wrong.
yeah,
Absolutely wrong. So routine tasks supposed to be done during the day, and for that, if you do something prospective, something like project, like new development, something, this is okay. So you need silence to think about this or that. This might be allowed, but let's think and let's do it together. Let's do something about that. Because if you would like to do if you would like to do things better, things more interesting, that might be okay.
yeah. There are times, and look, I've been that soldier. I had an awakening one Monday morning, when I was in the office at 7 o'clock. We were changing systems at the time, and I was
Hmm.
working late and working weekends as well, just to make sure everything would work. Um, and on one Monday morning, my 3-year-old son came into the room, and I was gone to work. And he said to my wife, he said, "Is Dad never coming home?"
Yeah.
Um, and that was, you can imagine the call I got from my wife that morning. And that was kind of the wake up call for me, that, maybe I got the balance wrong. And okay, work is work, and getting the system up and running and ready for everybody. But guys, at the end of the day, and particularly when you have small kids, they are the most important thing in the world. So you have to balance, your life. And after that, which was a great wake up call, um, I, I did manage to turn things around. And again, back to knowledge and experience. What saved me was reading a book, and I just got a whole new way of looking at working and management and everything else. And literally, that's why probably I'm such a fan of education and knowledge, is that that knowledge and then the application of that knowledge changed my working life and turned everything around. So anyway, it is there. And again, on a personal, you introduced me as a credit coach, and that's something that I hold dear to my heart as well. So look, if people need help with any aspects of credit or work life balance or whatever, I've been there, done that, and I'm happy to help people if I can in any way, because that's what gives me, a bit of motivation now as well. Obviously, our first responsibility is to our students, and we'll make sure that they have all the knowledge and information and help that they need. And beyond that, we do want to help people. We know how hard credit is. Um, and look, back to knowledge and experience, whatever problems you're experiencing right now, I can tell you that I've worked in this game. My CV says over 20 years, and that will never change. Even in 20 years' time, it'll still say over 20 years. Um, so I've probably come across the situation you're going through right now. And there is a solution. And I suppose that's part of the upbeat message and the hope that whatever you're going through right now, there is a solution. Somebody else has gone through it. I probably have gone through it because I've worked for so many companies at so many different stages of the revolution. And there is help out there. And the other thing I want to say to credit managers as well, that looking for external help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. And sometimes credit managers hold on to accounts for far too long before they pass them on to a third party agency or a legal team. It's not a failure, guys. Your job is to get the money paid. And if you don't have the time or the resources to put into it, then find somebody else who does. That's what it's all about. And I suppose the big step and the big realization for me, and hopefully this bridges, knowledge and experience. So I'll share some knowledge to improve your experience, is that the job of a credit manager is not to do everything. The job of a credit manager is to get it done. And there's a huge difference between doing it and getting it done.
Yeah.
And you have to set the standards as a manager. You have to set the tone in terms of the expectations and the targets and the approach and everything else. So you can't measure everything in DSO, because how we treat customers, how we treat colleagues, how we look at margins and credit notes and all that other stuff builds in. So that's my point, and I hope that helps somebody out there to perform at a higher level. You don't have to do everything.
Well, I,
You
I
have,
would like here. I would like to come back to the point you said, like somebody who has 14 years or 40 years of experience, and experience knowledge actually would tell me. I always threw in a drastic point that the company itself or the business does not need a credit manager or credit controller or credit analyst or whoever credit or else. Business needs, I mean, coming back to the point of results, business needs results. And results are, normally quite seeable when you open an annual report, or when you open, several annual reports and put them into the line. You can clearly see bad debts. Either they are going down or they are going up. Overdue, it is going down or going up. Not DSO. I mean, DSO is one, and then sales supposed to go up or going down, because receivables exist to support sales. And the thing is not how many years we spend doing that. The question is what we actually delivered. And that's actually a combination of knowledge. And coming back to knowledge point, and all this unique combination. I was doing for 6 years of my life, I was doing fencing, so I was a swordsman. And once I had seen an interview of a fencing trainer who was that time about 70 something years old. And what he said was really a surprise to me, and big actually advice. He said, I'm still learning.
Oh, yeah.
I'm learning from the young trainer who got a very nice methodology, teaching, sportsmen how to move, or something like very interesting thing. So I'm learning everything, because credit, as you just, very rightly said, is much more complicated than rocket science. I believe the worst thing to say, because I've seen that many times, on conferences and everywhere, when people say credit is simple. Credit is as far from being simple as, Earth from Andromeda, or even much more far, because one person who has to be analyst, communicator, collector, all this stuff supposed to be done, and everyone who does credit supposed to be able to do that him or herself without doing. But even with a situation like with this liberal credit policy, when we collect market. So just let me use this as example. The company enters the new market. Yeah, and this is supposed to be quite liberal credit policy, because we need to attract new customers. And so everything's supposed to be free. So we sell as much as we can, and then we collect as much as we can. There is a principal difference between two credit managers. One who will say, okay, do what you want, then I will collect what I can. And then another one who is coming and say, we assessed our portfolio with this volume of sales. We're supposed to have this level of overdue. We would require to spend this amount of money to cover cash shortages, and we expect to have from this to that level of bad debt. So overall cost of that credit portfolio would be this amount of money. So if management agrees to that, okay, let's do that. And this could not be done with only experience, because this requires knowledge.
Yeah.
One
thing I did, Andrew, which I hope will be of benefit to other people out there now at the moment. And I was involved in a very fast moving business that moved into different markets and started exporting across Europe. And what I did very simply, and this is probably linking credit and marketing. And what I did was I went to the salespeople who were developing a strategy to go into mainland Europe. We drew up a list of the countries that we were going into, and I volunteered to sit with the marketing team to go through the list of prospects of customers that were potential in the market. And I credit vetted every single one of those before a single call was made. So I knew that from a sales perspective, as we start off, and they would come back and say, look, these are the 10 people that we're going to talk to. And I would say, well, look, those 8 are fine. That one will have to pay up front if they want to do business with us. And that one, I don't care. We just won't do business with them at all. And they knew the 8 to concentrate on so the business could grow and grow profitably. So, this is, and this is about knowledge as well. So you can work in a company for 20 years, and if you didn't have the knowledge that you can do this. And I know people are, it's getting late now, and we've been going for 45 minutes. So, I think for me, where experience comes in is knowing what to deal with. I think where knowledge comes, and this is what I'm hoping for credit guys as well, is that where knowledge comes, you can expand the scope of credit. You can grow your department and your influence. And you know, there are areas like billing, like customer service, like invoicing, like pricing, like within the business that feed into credit. And what I found was when I was put in charge of it, it was right. When the marketing people were doing pricing, they were on a different space time continuum to the rest of us. They had no technical knowledge of how the system worked. And when I took ownership of pricing, then suddenly everything clicked into place. I'm talking to sales. My mission was to get it right first time every time, and we succeeded. It took me a few years. I'm a bit slow,
Yeah.
and yes, we had some very interesting discussions along the way. I'm certainly not one of these people who's of the view that the customer is always right. And if you adopt that approach and you issue credit notes as well, you won't be too long about eroding the margin of your own business. So come on, I think the credit guys have to stand up. And yes, experience. Please, even though 1% said education, I hope after our little chat today that more will see the value of education, the value of knowing what to do and how to do it by looking at things differently, by getting a different perspective from somebody who's being there, and then by applying that to their situation to make their lives easier and the results better. So that's as much as
Yeah.
I have to say. I don't know if there's more questions out there, but I know time is moving on.
Yeah, we've got a question from Ganshayam. Ganshayam, please, please unmute and ask your question. Sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly. Um,
Yeah, no, I think we were muted there, Andrew.
I so I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't work. But okay, maybe later. Maybe there was something wrong with the participants' connection, but we will come back to that. And we actually covered most part, and we slowly we went from the question if there is a choice between knowledge and experience. I don't believe we have to choose, we need both.
Sure. Yeah.
And actually getting most of them is the way of constant learning. So we need to learn. I got similar experience, by the way, with marketing. And we got great example of Joseph Buzutil, who has two hats, chartered marketer and a fellow of Credit Management Institute. And I think he's one of the best examples of that. And I found that, in my corporate career, I was spending so much time with marketing people. Simply looking at things, understanding what are our goals, what are the objectives we would like to achieve. Because it's, we can learn it from experience, we can get it from the school, from credit management course. We can learn it, ourselves. It will be longer or shorter, I don't know. It depends on the personality of a specialist. But credit exists to support trade. There is no other reason for credit to exist. So when we say that sale is not completed until it is actually paid for, there is no single letter wrong in this sentence, with except for one thing. It's only half of the truth. Because second half of the truth is that if we would like, before asking for money, we need to sell first. If we don't sell, if we didn't sell, I mean, who gonna pay us? So we need to take care, and good credit manager has to take care of both, of how do we sell, on what terms do we sell, and then how we get paid. And everything is a huge amount of responsibility where no single person involved in credit could say, this is not my job. This is not my job, finding optimal terms for customer. This is not my job to collect cash. This is not my job to control this. This everything is part of credit. And as I said, it's very, very far from being simple. It's very
Yeah,
far from.
I suppose again it's down to terminology. You know, I believe in a way credit management is simple in terms of it's get paid for everything you sell. So from that point of view, it's simple. It is never easy. It is never
Sure.
easy, and that there are so many obstacles and barriers and problems that you have to overcome. And I suppose that's why I just love credit because every day is a challenge. We have to change, we have to adopt, we have to do more with less, we have to you know keep the performance going and juggle 27 things at the same time. So
Uh,
it's a great job, and and it's a very rewarding job. You get instant feedback. You make a call today and the money hits your account tomorrow, and yes, I've got it done. So it is great feedback. So anyway, look, I don't know whether we want to wrap it up there now. I say it's getting to 8 minutes to here. If there are any questions, we'll certainly deal with them, and otherwise we'll take our leave and head off into the sunshine for the evening.
No,
Uh,
no, that's okay. We got prescribed hour and a half. We got 8 minutes. In my opinion, you need the knowledge on how to do the job, customer assessment, the business UI, etc., etc. The experience to apply that knowledge and the ability to change the mindset of all departments that credit is a business partner and not in company to do to sales or just to whip out
with numbers.
numbers. No, it's not only about numbers. Nikki, I completely agree with you. I don't, Declan, there was no question, but there was just a comment. I would like, because we actually covered our agenda, we've got a Q&A session. Ladies and gentlemen, since you didn't ask questions before, please, ask them now, and I will throw in my favorite question to Declan. It could be quite long version about that because I got this question so many times, and you mentioned in very beginning that you would like to see a credit director sitting between CFO and head of sales and
Yeah.
sales and marketing. My opinion is a bit different. That I just say that credit maybe not that not that complicated, not that important as finance whole or sales and marketing as whole. But the thing is, it's not question of title; it's question of getting result and balancing two things. But if we would like to raise the profile of credit specialist within the organization, whether or not it is enough to just collect, control, and analyze customers' credit worthiness. That's not yet a question. I will add couple of things, because I've heard from many credit managers over my career that we did so great job in collection, in control, in analyzing customer, but no one sees that. And I used to say, ladies and gentlemen, if you just analyze customers, control and collect, and you got the exposure, you got the visibility, and you got the appreciation of the job you've done, which you already, so that you need to do something different if you would like to raise the concern of a credit manager. This not raising the concern, not raising the profile. You need to do something different. You need to become more commercially oriented. You need to become more helpful to the whole company. You need to bring something to everyone involved into credit. Not just you did your job and then you got your appreciation. That's not the way things working. What do you think about that?
You see, I see, and again, back to the start of the conversation, my view of a credit function, there's a view that we have all the product development, we have the product launching, the marketing, the sales, the distribution, and all those functions. And then right at the very end, at the back of the parade, we have the credit guys mopping up after everybody else. So, there is this sort of linear view where credit is at the last stage. My picture is far different. I see credit in the center of business. I see credit is business. So we have to make sure that, number one, the customers we choose to do business with are worthy of credit. We have to make sure that we trust them, and we set out our terms clearly. We set out our pricing policy that's for the benefit of the customer, and that we make a margin ourselves as a business. We have to have our pricing policy set. And I see credit is an integral part of all that. I see credit as a customer service like no other. Credit controllers tend to care more about customers than customer service people do. So, I just see, and any of the organizations that I have worked in, I have put credit in the center of all operations. And, when it comes to IT, there are people out there who understand computers far better than I do. But nobody understands what that computer needs to do to keep our customers happy better than I do. So I need my IT department not to tell me what can't be done. Look, we have this major customer, and I'm a firm believer. While I said yes, the customer is not always right, and yes, sometimes we have disputes and we have to have a row with them. And look, we'll do it, amicably, and we'll sort it out and we'll get paid. When it comes to admin and invoicing requirements, then it's my job as credit manager to make sure that we make life as easy as possible for our customers. And to
Sure.
be honest with you, in order to get the support and the resources that I need to do my job better, so our company can sell more, make more, and have happier customers, then I honestly think that a seat at the boardroom table is where I need to be. And I'll put my hands up and say, okay, Mr. Sales Director, you're responsible for sales to make sure that we hit our sales figure. Yes, Mr. Accountant, you have to make sure that we have budgets and we're on targets financially. My job as the director of credit is I am the manager of the margin. So it's not just sell, sell, sell. It's not just can we get a cheaper one somewhere else.
Yeah.
Is does this make sense? Does it make sense to send £1 million worth of stuff out to Namibia? What's the margin? What's the return? What's the risk? That's my job to do that sum to see. So it's not just sales at all costs. It's not just saving money at all costs. It's does this make sense to the business? Are we going to make more money if we do this than not do it? And that's my job as credit director. So I'm the common sense and the conscience of the business right there at the board table. And I think I'm uniquely placed. And because I have the passion and I care about the business, that's where it comes from. So it's not just about sales, it's about profitable sales.
Well, could not agree with you more. But I won't be repeating my long question, but what I was about to ask is that, because while I'm listening to your answer, I'm actually, credit charts format allows me to say something a little bit more than just a moderator. I would say that, just coming back to what you said, you were participating marketing meeting and everything. So it is far more beyond the standard credit management agenda. So it is. I mean, we are doing significantly more. Working with sales, speaking with sales, and not only sales, with accounting, with treasury. We've got so many stakeholders. Like, you need to, because we need to pay attention to sales. We need to pay attention to marketing. We need to understand what's going on and actually stay exactly, next to this wheel, which is converting, these nice, beautiful, fancy products into the rainbow papers called cash.
Yeah.
So we are
But look, that's what it's all about, Andrew. And I think, and maybe again back at the boardroom, that's where we have to. That's why we get up in the morning.
Yeah.
Like okay, it's all very well to have these altruistic. I want to change the world and make a difference. At the end of the day, most of us get up in the morning because we have bills to pay. That's why we do it.
Oh,
Most of us set up in business because we want to make money.
you know,
That's what is there. And the credit function are the people who turn the sales and all the efforts of the manufacturing and distribution and everything else. We are the guys who turn that into cash. We are the alchemists. We are the people who make business happen. And that's why I want people who are listening to this to have that belief in themselves of the importance that you have within your business. And if you care about it and are passionate about it, and the other thing that credit people, I hope, bring is a sense of urgency to proceedings. That it has to happen and it has to happen now. So even though we're positive and upbeat, we still have a bit of pressure there. We need to bring the pressure, in terms of salespeople. Yeah, look, go sell, sell, sell. That's what you have to do. Now, there is rules that you have to follow, and these are what they
absolutely.
are. So
Because
I think, we definitely need to do that.
I just, to comment back to that, I just say we could not do standard agenda and then just do another presentation to make us seeable. We need to bring business, real impact on business in terms of in terms of credit management. So by doing by showing different attitude, by doing this proactive credit, because I got my own experience with sales, with everything. I actually came to one stage when credit director, before taking any decision concerning receivables, he was calling me to come. He was asking
Yeah.
me, Andre, can you come? Because we are taking decision, we are developing plan. Can you join us? I said, obviously. Just as obvious, because I was saying, on the latest stages, I said, I simply got two bosses. I simply got two bosses. I got CFO as my boss, and I got sales director as my boss. And I do know that I do my job properly only in case both of my bosses are happy, because we need to sell and we need to convert it into cash. And if we don't convert it into cash, there is a problem. And if we don't sell, there is a problem. Because if nobody buys our products, this means that customers simply don't bring us cash. So in the end of the day, these are customers who pay us, who pay our wages. So we need to show that there is credit has so much to offer to
Oh
a
yeah,
business, to
yeah,
grow business, to show
yes.
where do we undersell, to show where we got stuck, with a customer who has who doesn't have enough cash to purchase our product. This is where credit is coming to the stage. And we got so much to offer, but we can restrict, very often our credit contribution is so much restricted by our attitude. Like, sale is not complete until it is paid for. But
Well, a
go
sale
there
is a
and
cost until it's paid for. A sale is a cost until it's paid for. It's a liability. That is my belief in this.
no,
And the other thing that made me smile as well, Andrew, in terms of you're talking about your two bosses, in sales and finance, and keeping them happy. Yes, I kind of agree that you do have to keep them happy because job security depends on it. The other thing as well, though, if you're not fighting with them, you're not doing your job either.
oh, well,
So
you,
part of
you
the
need to
role of
demonstrate position. You need to demonstrate position, and you
yes, you
need to
do.
show. This is the thing. One of the interesting thing to underline that, because yes, it might look drastic, but I give you another story. Since I look, there is no question. Questions are not coming, so I give you another story. Once. I said, I think I even wrote kind of post about that. So, who is the best friend of a good salesman? Because I wrote that the best friend of a good salesman is who is a credit analyst.
Oh yeah.
It's not very easy very easy for you to understand, but for the general, people used to think that the credit analyst who say this customer is good or this customer is bad, this means that this guy is restricting our sales. But on the other side, it's very easy to understand. Who is the best customer of a salesman? Is the one who is repeating, who is the constant, because you already got trust with them. They already purchasing our product. They appreciate that. And if there is something wrong with this customer, and if this customer goes bust, we finance, okay, we write off the debt. We cry, maybe we'll have another whiskey, to make ourselves a little bit more content, but this is it. And salesman supposed to find another customer, supposed to attract another customer, supposed to to find right terms for this customer and establish relations. This is hell of job.
Yeah, but sorry, the other thing as well, Andrew, about that, and this is back in defense of education as well and knowledge. One of the things that I teach certainly on the risk and on the credit management program is that part of the role of credit manager is to not only to understand risk, but to understand risk mitigation strategies.
Sure.
So, the part of my role when I'm looking at my ledger, I have to know what is the worst thing that can happen. And then it's my job to make sure that that doesn't happen. And I have prepared for all eventualities. So if that company over there goes bang tomorrow, you know what? I have this security, I have that insurance, I have this retention of title, and I have to make sure that the sums are done, that no matter what happens to any customer out there, there is no possibility of a loss to my business. And that's something that we can learn, So anyway, that is that.
I'm listening to you because you're my guest. I just wanted to say that this is why a good sales manager will always listen to a credit analyst, because this brings, whatever difficulty with the customer may happen, the salesman or good salesman supposed to know that in advance, supposed to
Yeah.
discuss that with the credit manager and find a way what to do. Obviously, we can have credit security, we can have insurance, we can have whatever else, but it is not always possible. Very often we have to simply withdraw a credit facility just before the customer goes bust.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that timing is
And
exactly what we.
either we know that in advance or we simply don't work together. And this
Yeah.
means that best friend of a good salesman is actually credit analyst.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I will make every sale, every order right up to the end, and then we'll get our timing right as well. So
Sure. And
we coordinate and we work and we have a backup plan and strategy. So just these credit guys holding orders and putting people on stop and oh look, go away from
please,
me.
I always say, I always say that if you can afford, you as a company is able to afford a policy where you simply, no money, no honey policy, like no payment, no shipment, and this is it.
Yeah,
If you can afford that, for that, computer would be the best credit manager you can have.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah,
Again,
yeah.
if you can afford it, but
But it's not affordable, Adri. That and I've always said this that that any fool can say yes to an order, and any fool can say no to an order. Where the skill, the experience, the education, where everything else comes in, is to know when to say yes, and this is probably controversial. Never say no. So we say
fine.
yes to an order, and then we say yes if, yes when, yes provided that. So we can let the order go if the money is in the account. We can let the order go if I have a parent company guarantee. I can let the order go
Yeah.
if the insurance will underwrite it. So I will always find a yes if, never a no. And
Well,
if then make sure that I am secured in my position if everything goes wrong.
I would add to that a thing which I just discovered maybe in couple of last years of my work in credit. I just found that you know very generally we could say that every couple of buyer and seller is actually unique.
Yeah,
These are two companies. They might be on different markets or in the same market, in difficulty, in different situation, in different market position, and so on and so forth. And you cannot learn this everything by experience. You need to have specific knowledge, and then knowledge and experience in applying to that. But our job is to find the optimal terms for every situation.
yeah,
And this is the job of a credit manager. Sometimes it's not reasonable to take risk. Sometimes we take risk. And this is our job to say, either if we are decision makers, that's okay, we make decisions ourselves. But much more difficult situation when we advise decision to higher management due to the amount, due to the policy, due to the traditions of a company. And we need to explain to higher management what risk they take or what they don't take. Either what amount of risk is taken, and we have to be able to explain that to non-specialists, because all these probabilities of default are quite nice, interesting, nice words, clear to bankers, but when you come to a sales manager or to general manager and say probability of default is 20%, 12%, then they say, so what? So what? 12%. 12% of probability of default means that 88% probability that customer gonna pay. That's what all I know. 88% is quite high to me. So what?
yeah.
So
Oh,
we
I
need to
know. But
be
look, it's
able to explain this, to a decision maker, and make sure we work on optimal terms. And these
yeah,
optimal terms, the terms which are optimal today, won't be so, let's say, in 2 weeks or in a couple of years.
Oh yeah, but it keeps
And we
moving,
need
and
to
that's
change.
yeah.
And I do believe, I believe you agree that, writing of a credit policy is a difficult job, but reviewing the credit policy in accordance with company strategy is even more difficult job.
But very necessary, very necessary.
Absolutely.
Andrew,
Absolutely.
under pressure time-wise now at the moment.
I believe so. I see that. So since
I also see that people have gone where they're going, and I know the
okay,
people who have access to the recording can listen at their own time, and hopefully people
yeah.
will come back.
Thank you,
So,
Declan. I
if you
do.
have any other questions, I'm happy. In terms of contacting myself, the company is icmt.ie, and we've a
Share
website,
all the
email,
context with
or contact
audience.
through LinkedIn or whatever. So, please by all means, contact me if you need anything, and then certainly we'll talk later anyway.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Please have a great sales, low losses, or as we say, we could say in French, bon crédit.
Bon credit.